First up, the top focus this evening. Call it the political battle over the centre's welfare schemes. Are the concerns of states refusing to implement central schemes genuine, or are the reasons purely political? That's the focus on the show this evening. Even as the Delhi High Court is hearing the BJP versus Aam Aadmi Party battle over the centre's Ayushman Bharat healthcare scheme, the DMK in Tamil Nadu rejected the Prime Minister's Vishwakarma scheme. While the AAP accused the centre's healthcare scheme of excluding several citizens and argued that its own scheme is more comprehensive, Tamil Nadu categorically refused to implement the Vishwakarma scheme, which it says promotes caste-based vocation. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin says the centre did not make the modifications sought by the state to the scheme, which aims to provide skill development and credit support to artisans and craftsmen. Stalin says the state will now introduce a more inclusive scheme on its own. Meanwhile, the BJP accused the Aam Aadmi Party of blocking implementation of the Ayushman Bharat scheme. The Delhi High Court has issued notices to the Aam Aadmi Party government. West Bengal too, remember, had refused to implement the scheme. Let's first take you through the big political reactions that came in today before we head to our special panel this evening.
Today, there was a second hearing of this petition. The 7 MPs of Delhi have knocked the court's door to ensure implementation of Ayushman Bharat in Delhi as well. The Honorable Delhi High Court was pleased to issue notice today. Now, the petition is going to be heard on the 11th of December. What weighed with the court was that the central government is willing to give money to the Delhi government in order for a smooth implementation of this scheme, and yet the Delhi government is taking such a hard line stand against implementation of a scheme which has already been implemented in 33 states and union territories out of 36.
आयुष्मान भारत में एक तो एक लिमिटेड नंबर ऑफ कैटेगरीज हैं कि अगर आप एक रैग पिकर हैं, आप कॉबलर हैं, आपके 10-12 कैटेगरीज हैं जिसमें आप आयुष्मान भारत में आपको हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस मिलता है, नंबर 1. नंबर 2, उसमें बहुत सारी एक्सक्लूजन्स हैं. अगर मेरे घर में फ्रिज है तो मैं आयुष्मान भारत के तहत इंश्योरेंस नहीं ले सकती. सेकंड, एक इम्पॉर्टेंट कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन ये है कि आयुष्मान भारत किसी भी एक परिवार पर 5 लाख प्रति साल की कैपिंग लगाता है. तो अगर परिवार का एक सदस्य बीमार हो जाए और उसको 10 लाख रुपए का खर्चा आ जाए तो पहले तो 5 लाख उनको उसमें से देने पड़ेंगे.
What is Vishwakarma scheme? The name itself says that the people who do some certain work as per their caste should continue to do, and the government will support them. That is not the way. The government should make everybody educated, come up in life to become other. A person from Vishwakarma community can become an IAS officer today. He cannot be asked to go back to his own work. So we wanted a change in this. That scheme helps, provides financial support to those who follow their profession, their caste-based profession, which is wrong. That is what the opposition means. Well,
some nuanced points being made there on both sides of the divide. So is it pure politics, or is there a serious concern for states over central welfare schemes and the way they are coined? Joining us this evening, Selam Dharanidharan of the DMK, Prashant GS of the Bharatiya Janata Party, Anmol Panwar of the Aam Aadmi Party, and Liz Matthew, the senior journalist in the midst of the politicians in the panel. Thank you all for speaking to us. My first question to you, Selam Dharanidharan, is it purely an extension of the antagonistic stand between an opposition party ruled state and the central government that is playing out in the rejection of welfare schemes, or are there genuine concerns beyond just nomenclature? Why has there not been an effort made to work with the centre to perhaps retailor the scheme? Your first response.
Hey, firstly and foremost, DMK as a party has never given up on its idea. Our ideology has been nearly constant from 1949 for the party until today. And the issue that we've all got, in fact, even in 1950s, where
we seem to be
DMK vociferously opposed. Can you hear me?
Right, we can hear you, Salem Dharanidharan, but your line's a little patchy, so make your point. Make your point first, please, quickly.
Firstly, so see, we vociferously opposed it, but the whole point is that we in the DMK believe that the union government should give the states the fund and autonomy to implement what they want to do. You can't give one solution to entire country, because the states in this country are profoundly diverse than even countries of the European. For example, the national education policy says we will bring GR about 50% by 2030. But in Tamil Nadu, we obtained GR in 2010 itself. So, which means the policy itself is flawed. So, that is what we are saying. You can't have one solution for the entire country. Each state to devise its own policy and have its own scheme. That is actual federalism. Only then the country will grow. You can't have one policy designed in Delhi and implement for all the Indian states. Each of them have different culture, different level of growth, and different socio-economic growth. So, give the state the independence to do. Let states will know best what has to be done. Right? For example, in many cases, even the eligibility criteria.
Your line seems to be patchy at the moment, right? Salem Dharanidharan, and we'll get you back. We'll get you back once your line is clear. GS Prashant, the accusation here is that this is a one-size-fits-all approach by the center without consultation of states or taking state-specific needs while crafting welfare schemes, and which is why a state like Tamil Nadu says it's rejecting the Vishwakarma scheme, which it says even in terms of nomenclature sends out a different message in that state.
See, DMK's divisive politics now is being played out. They want center's money and autonomy on spending for the states. Why is this? Because when a center is formulating a scheme, it cannot give step-by-step treatment to any state. All states in the country, union territories, center has to take care of them equally. So therefore, they cannot make differentiation between one state versus another. So therefore, a uniform policy, for example, Ayushman Bharat, applies to all citizens in all states and union territories in a similar manner. You can't make an exception saying for a person in Tamil Nadu, Ayushman Bharat will give different benefits, and for a person in Mizoram, benefits will be different. Definitely not. So therefore, when the center formulates a scheme, it is in the interest of the entire country and not merely making one state play out politics here. Look at what Aam Aadmi Party is doing in Delhi, and now DMK in Tamil Nadu, they not even wanting to implement center schemes. Even in Karnataka, the Congress-ruled state government here will not want to implement a lot of schemes, because when they have to pool in equal money when the center gives it to spend, these people are not even doing that, which means they are antagonizing the
Okay,
people.
Anmol Panwar, respond to GS Prashant.
We will not do this.
Mr. Raghav,
Anmol Panwar, respond to GS Prashant.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are, sir.
Yeah. Mr. Raghav, we believe that healthcare should never be politicized, and it is the responsibility of every government that the citizens must be provided best quality healthcare infrastructure in their state. And we can easily differentiate between the two schemes. I have a very simple question for you, Mr. Raghav. In the Delhi healthcare scheme, we are providing free tests, free surgeries, free medication, free hospitalization, free comprehensive care. And there's no cap on spending limit. A person will get a tablet worth ₹10 free of cost and a surgery worth 1 crore free of cost. Whereas on the other hand, you have a model wherein you have to pay for the test, you have to pay for the surgeries, you have to pay for the medications, you have to pay for the hospitalization, and there's a cap of only ₹5 lakhs per family per year. Suppose there are 4 family members and 2 of them get ill, then and there's expense of more than 10 lakhs, then they'll have to incur around 7 lakhs out of their pocket. And moreover, that scheme excludes the ones who own a refrigerator, a telephone, a landline, a pakka house, and who's a government employee. So which one would you choose, Mr. Raghav? The first one or the second one?
Okay. GS Prashant, which one would you choose, says Anmol. He says that the state government schemes are better, and this shows how the center did not take into account state government schemes while crafting the policy. Please go ahead and respond to that before I get Liz Matthew.
Yeah, Veera, you have government hospitals where they don't differentiate between who goes there. The OPD charges are also nominal, and the hospitalization charges are also covered there. So therefore, Ayushman Bharat is an insurance scheme over and above what the government hospitals in every state give facilities. And center always ensures that funds are released on time for any medical emergency and for all the schemes. It is the states who are playing politics here, unable to digest the growth of BJP. They are playing politics over here, saying that they make a particular mention in one state, and when they go to another state, their own alliance partner has a different viewpoint. So therefore, they're only trying to politicize the issues here. They're unable to digest that BJP is the one who's actually standing for social justice, because from the time of COVID, 80 crore people have been given rations. So what is the opposition's claim to that? They're not even willing to accept that. And they rebrand the rice sent by center as if given by the state governments and distribute it. What is that then?
I'll get a response from both the Aam Aadmi Party and the DMK on this, but I just want to get Liz Matthew into this conversation. Ma'am, are we seeing this as a reflection of the polarized political climate between centers and some opposition rule states, or is there a genuine concern from the states in terms of how these welfare schemes have been crafted, and is it a one-size-fits-all that the center has adopted in several of these schemes? Your assessment.
In fact, both points are correct here. You should see it in the context of, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. You should see it in the
context
of
the
new politics, because the welfare politics we have seen in the recent past, the post 2024 Lok Sabha election, all the elections which happened, like whether it is in Haryana, whether it is in Jharkhand, whether it is in Maharashtra, the welfare schemes, the cash rollout had its importance, and also with increasingly political parties making women focused, women centric approaches to the elections, electoral politics, we will be seeing more of this thing. And of course, when the welfare politics and the schemes become the very significant part of the electoral approach and the strategies, of course, every political party would like to show it as their projects. When from the BJP side, it would be looking at, okay, the central government spending, it is a project which we have, the party has planned and implementing or rolling out. They would like to see it as their scheme, and they would like to see it as it's been rolled out as their scheme. Same with the regional parties and the state governments. Here also, it is not an entirely central government projects. In many projects, what happened is 60-40. We have seen in the last house, we have seen, the health minister. I'm not talking about 18th Lok Sabha, I'm talking about the previous house. The health minister talking about how he's going to not give money to the state if they are not giving up the names of Pradhan Mantri. Okay. For the state, they are giving 40% of the money. And also, like you said, if every scheme, the state government, like Odisha had, the previous government had a very good health
It's an
scheme.
important point that you... I'm sorry to interrupt you, Liz Matthew, but it's an important point that you've made, and I have very little time, so I want to specifically pose one question to all three politicians, starting with Salem Dharnitharan, whose line seems to be better off. This is not about ensuring welfare, but it's about taking political credit for this. Whether it is the BJP, DMK or AAP, this is more about taking electoral political credit for welfare schemes, and hence there is often a contest between states and centers. How would you respond to that insinuation? Salem Dharnitharan first.
No, I completely disagree with the statement. For us, whoever does social justice and whoever works for the betterment of the people, you're fine with it. But here the problem is not that. I'm not going into a specific scheme, but overall, when union government will devise all the schemes and will ask the state to contribute to it, what we see is that efficiency is lost. Why efficiency is lost? For example, there was a scheme in education department for which we couldn't use that fund in Tamil Nadu simply because all the schools were better than the threshold which was mentioned. Right? There was one scheme for Dalits and Adi Dravidas. And that scheme also we couldn't use because everyone in Tamil Nadu were above the threshold. So which is why I'm saying, why don't you let the states design and implement? The money to the central government, union government actually goes from the states. When Mr. Prashad spoke, he made a point saying states beg for money from the union government. But actually the money to the union government come from the states. If Tamil Nadu gives 1 rupee, we get 30 paise back. And remaining 70 paise used by the union government for running their government as well as to send to other underdeveloped states. So it is the state's money which the union government has.
Anmol.
Right? So what I'm saying is, you give back the entire 30 paisa to us, and
Yes.
then we will do what we have to do. Right? We have been crafting
Yes.
great policies and implementing.
This
For
is a
example, many
divisive
policies.
politics.
Anmol, you make your
DMK
point
is
now.
propagating.
Is it-
Mr.
No,
Raghav,
this is not
Anmol,
divisive.
Anmol, please go ahead.
Dividing the
How is
country.
it divisive?
can I
How was it
speak?
dividing
No, Anmol, let Anmol make his point. Please go ahead. Please go ahead, Anmol.
Mr. Raghav, it's never about taking credit. It's about the belief that everyone in the country must get better healthcare regardless of social or financial status or income. That is why, in fact, the reason why it is not possible to implement this scheme in Delhi, because in Delhi, the minimum wage of a worker is 18,000. Whereas to be eligible under this PM Ayushman Yojana, you must have an income less than 10,000 rupees. So it automatically excludes 90% of the residents. So may I know from Mr. Prashant that how would they incorporate each and every resident of Delhi under this scheme?
Last 40 seconds to you, Prashant. Please make your response and then we'll have to
Veera,
close this debate.
I think people from Aam Aadmi Party are only talking about Delhi, but as BJP being the largest party and running the government, we have to look at even the remotest parts. So if he's talking about 10,000, everybody's got 18,000. What about a remote village in Jharkhand? Are they having 10,000 or 9,000?
So
Even
can
less than
you
that.
be specific?
So
Can you be
therefore,
specific,
we
sir,
have to
about
be very
Delhi?
clear in so far as what we're talking about. Like how DMK is playing divisive politics, saying that give back our entire money. It's only a bit to say
No.
we want to be different from the
How?
country. That is
I
not how
never
countries
said
run.
give back entire money.
So
No,
therefore,
that's how the countries run. That's how the countries are run.
No,
That's
you
exactly
can't
how
take back the
countries are
entire
run.
money. Then which
No,
which
look,
means
I-
you want to divide the country and say you want a separate
Again, it's turned
country
into-
for Tamil Nadu.
How?
That will not happen.
Federalism is not
This is what
dividing the
you've been
country.
propagating.
Federalism is uniting the country. Federalism
No,
is uniting the
you are
country and
only
not
want to
dividing the
divide
It's
the
country.
again
country.
turned
Mr.
into a
Dhanidharan,
political
your
exchange
objective
instead of
is to
a
divide the
fair
country,
Mr.
saying,
Prashant,
and
this
my
is not
passionate.
my
money, you want it
question.
back. What about the other facilities that Tamil Nadu uses from other states?
All
What happens to that? And moreover,
Okay,
from
Prashant,
contract
we'll have to
Only
end this
giving
conversation
no,
here. As
the
always,
state
we
is
cannot
the,
get into the
companies
nuances of the
registered.
issue, which seems to have points
which is
made
why-
on both sides in terms of the effectiveness of the schemes, perhaps welfare schemes aimed more closely at people and not for political credit is perhaps the message. Thank you all for joining us here on the show.